Hospitals are not safe in the sense from cyber attacks, specifically phishing and social engineering. The U.S. Health Department has issued out warnings and statements about hospitals' IT help desks getting targeted. So, in this article, I'm going to go ahead and break down what has been going on and what's been happening and my thoughts. So, as you see here, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has issued out different warnings that threat actors are now using social engineering tactics to target IT help desks across the healthcare and public health sector. For those that don't know, help desk is just another word for IT support. These are people that basically provide the support and help users within the company or maybe even customers with, technical issues, whether that's with an app, whether that's with, accessing a system, whether that's, account information, all of the above. So think of help desk as this kind of platform and, property that allows, the IT systems and IT infrastructure to flow properly and for customers and users to be able to work and have a good workflow. The sector, alert issued by the Health Sector Cybersecurity Coordination Center this week says that these tactics have allowed attackers to gain access to targeted systems, target organizations, and basically they're able to even enroll their own multi-factor authentication devices. So when it comes to accessing systems within a network or within your job, most likely a company is going to implement multi-factor authentication. This is just a form basically stating who you are is what you say you are. So basically you're kind of authenticating and figuring out who this person is to allow them access to your system. So because of it, once these threat actors actually get into the systems, they're then able to kind of erase whatever multi-factor authentication was put in there, and then they set it up with their phone or their specific device. Now when people log in, they're getting the links or the codes sent to that specific controlled attacker device, and that then allows the threat actor to get in. They said in these attacks, the threat actors use a local area code to call organizations pretending to be employees in the financial department. This is something that's obvious and that's been happening in every other sector. And basically what they're doing is they're providing stolen ID verification details. So these can include corporate ID and even social security numbers. Threat actors are most likely getting this information from the dark web or websites that post and host data breach information. So there's a lot of sites out there that post and basically describe that, hey, people have been part of a data breach. Here's basically kind of like their information. As we scroll down, they did say using the sensitive information and they're going to basically what they're saying is that their smartphone is broken, and then they're trying to convince the IT help desk to enroll a new device in MFA under the attacker's control. This is something that I've had so many calls being in IT about people saying that their phone's broken or they got a new phone, this, that, and the third. So I never really kind of think like somebody's trying to play with me. But in the sense, you always have to be on guard. You always have to make sure you're authenticating and making sure that you're going through the company's process. Right? Once they kind of, lighten the mood, they're able to provide information to make it seem real. That's what makes this attack so successful. Once the help desk resets their MFA and it gets under the attacker's control, this then gives them access to corporate resources and allows them to redirect, bank transactions and business email compromise attacks. If you remember, I mentioned earlier, they're pretending to be financial employees. And once they get it reset, now they have access to all of the financial employees' systems or apps. Some companies have a thing called single sign-on where all you have to do is remember one password, and it's like a master password, and that then gets you into every single app. So if that one password is compromised, now the entire system is up for grabs. Now the threat actor can access whatever app he wants within that specific environment. So this is what's crazy. And another thing, you're probably wondering, how did the threat actor know what employees to target? It's called reconnaissance. This is the first step in any cyber attack. A threat actor is going to do their research and gather information either actively or passively and figure out what employees are who, and basically based off their job titles, based off of LinkedIn, other social media platforms, that can kind of give you a little idea of what that employee does and what access they may have. So if I know that I see somebody that's a system analyst or a cybersecurity analyst, I know that they may have access to a tool called Splunk, or they may have access to tools like Active Directory or Okta, right? Or there may be most likely, if they're a system analyst and they're working within IT, they're going to be an admin because they're doing password resets and account unlocks, and you have to have admin privileges to do so. So that's just one of the tips and things that threat actors actually do before even coming up with a payload, coming up with a piece of malware, and even delivering it and executing it. As I do scroll down, these are just some quotes and some things that some CFOs were saying about the whole situation. They're also saying in such incidents, attackers may also use even AI voice cloning tools to deceive targets. This is where AI is going to play a big part, and phishing attacks are already 90% of cyber attacks as of now. As I was saying before, how AI is, going to be a big part of cyber attacks, specifically phishing and social engineering. There's different tools out there where all you have to do is record a conversation of you or someone else saying something. The AI tool then takes that information, is able to compile it, and then now you're able to basically generate that person's voice and get them to pretty much say anything. And that's what's making it harder to actually deceive these targets, because they're making it seem like it's realistic, right? Sometimes these attackers are going to be coming from out of the country, maybe India, maybe North Korea, China. So if they're able to use these AI cloning tools, it makes them sound American, and then that then allows them to deceive the victims even more and get access and make it easier for them. They even said with a specific tactic, this is now a very popular tactic, like I said, and with 25% of people having experienced an AI voice impersonation scam or knowing someone who has. So that's a pretty big stat right there by itself. And then they're saying scattered spider vibes. So I believe this is a specific threat group, advanced persistent threat. These are basically groups that are paid by countries to basically attack other countries, right? So they're, basically doing these big government attacks, and they're trying to gather as much information as they can. This is just going into kind of the history of scattered spider, what they've done, different tactics that they've used, whether that's phishing, MFA bombing. Basically, they're spamming someone's phone or device with a bunch of MFA prompts until that person accepts it, or even SIM swapping, where they're getting a hold of somebody's number. They then go into the person's phone carrier or mobile service provider, whether that's T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, and then they're then telling them, hey, I have a phone number. Can you please transfer the SIM card to this phone number? Now, the SIM card is in control, and instead of you getting all your text messages, the threat actor's getting all theirs, or getting all yours. To wrap it up, they did say that the cybercrime game is very personal, and they've often impersonate IT employees to trick, customer staff service into actually providing them with credentials and, remote access to tools to actually breach the networks. They also said that they were part of a recently encrypted MGM Resorts systems attack. Basically, what they did was, I believe it was kind of the same thing. They gathered information from people. They were able to impersonate somebody and called Helpdesk, and that's what then allowed them to get access to MGM systems. This actually caused MGM to have a shutdown. Nobody could use a casino. Nobody could buy anything. People had to pay in person. They had to book a hotel in person. It was all bad. They also said that they're notorious for other attacks, including the big one that was called Octopus, and that basically targeted over 130 organizations, including some of these big ones that you see here: Microsoft, Binance, T-Mobile, Verizon, Slack, Twitter, Riot, Best Buy, and so many more. And lastly, the FBI and CISA has issued an advisory. They did this in November to kind of highlight what Scattered Spider has done and their tactics and techniques, as well as the procedures. So then us, as the people that are trying to resolve these issues, as a security analyst, we're able to understand and be on the lookout for these TTPs. They did say, however, HC3 says that similar health sector incidents reported so far have yet to be attributed to a specific threat group. So there's not one specific ransomware group or threat group that's actually claiming these attacks. And these are kind of just some tips to actually block attacks targeting IT help desk organizations in the healthcare sector. So this goes for all IT help desks in whatever company or sector you're in. The biggest thing is verification and authentication. You need to be able to verify somebody and figure out what access that they have. And based off of what access they have and their title, that'll determine kind of what they're able to access. When it comes to verifying, always verify with something like, a social security number or other things that your company provides. I always say just follow your company's procedures in the sense of, whatever they have or whatever they use for verification. At my old company, what we used was social security number. If that didn't work, we sent them like a passphrase. If that doesn't work, try to have them verify with a manager. So you want to go through all the stops. And sometimes you may have to break the rules a little bit. Sometimes, the things that they provide aren't matching up and you've already excluded all your options. So you may have to just take it into your own hands and be like, hey, can you get a manager? Can you get an employee? Can you get someone who isn't a contractor? Can you basically tell me, can you get somebody to verify that you actually work here? And usually these attacks are happening remote. So if that's going to happen, they're going to either push back and then end up just hanging up, or they're just going to give you a bunch of pushback and try to be like, oh, I already did this. I already verified this. Why isn't it working? And then they're just going to argue with you, and usually they'll hang up. So you got to stick through it. But here's some of the things that, they require, right? Require callbacks to verify employees, requesting password resets and new MFA devices, monitor for suspicious ACH changes, consider in-person requests for sensitive matters, whether that just depends on what information they're trying to access, require supervisors to verify, requests. This actually happens with tickets as well as requests. If somebody's requesting a specific app or access to it, their manager has to verify it. That's just making sure that everything is good, because what if a threat actor gain access to somebody's system of a financial employee, and then now they're trying to get access to like a security system? That doesn't seem right. So like making sure that you have supervisors verifying those requests and making sure that they're just not going through and not getting verified, that's important. And then just training help desk staff to identify and report social engineering techniques and verify callers' identities. That's probably the biggest thing, is making sure that help desk, the staff there, has good cybersecurity hygiene and they understand what tactics and techniques threat actors are using. And that's really it for this article. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. You already know what it is. I'm out. Peace.